Why do you think these diets have become popular?
Well, hundreds of years ago, what happened was like food was less accessible and people were more physically active. So people were not too much worried about being obese, and it was not a thing that time. But these days, in the current world, we live under convenience, right?
Amera Marian Varghese, a dietitian who has 12 years plus experience, a friend of the podcast as well. Welcome to Million Opinions.
Thanks so much for having me here today.
So, Amira, in India, nutrition and food intake, it is not very popular with the masses. How did you get into this profession?
As a child, I was very much interested in things that we eat and the nutritional elements and all of that, because I've seen my grandmother who had a passion towards cooking and a lot of other things. So, which actually had made me to get into nutrition, about food and about healthy lifestyle and all of that. And together with my family, we always had kind of a healthy eating habit. And my dad, my mom, and all of that. So when the time came for me to decide what I have to do next in my life as a career, I had to say that, it was just nutrition, because that was my passion throughout my life. So which is how I got into it, because I had no other things to think of. It was just nutrition and it was my passion at the end of the day. So which is why I got into nutrition, and I did my nutrition, and I wanted to be a dietitian throughout my life. Yeah.
How important is nutrition?
If you are someone who wants to live healthy for the rest of your life without staying away from medications and all of that, it is very important that you follow a very healthy eating habit, because at the end of the day, you are kind of what you eat. Even though genetics plays a role, you can control on things that you eat and you can change your lifestyle. So to me, eating healthy, being physically active is way too important. Yeah.
So, when you say being healthy and active, which one would you say has more of an influence?
Both. It's a balance between eating healthy and being physically active, because it's calorie in, calorie out. So you have to literally burn your calories depending on what your profile is, on your nutritional profile is. So it's very important that you eat at the same time you burn your calories in some way that you can. Yeah.
When people want to lose weight, they try out different kind of diets.
Absolutely.
There are many at the moment.
Yes.
It's very hard to keep a track of.
Very popular. So many diets are trending these days.
Which one would you say are the popular diets?
The most popular diets that I see here, and the patients who has come to me who has been following certain diets, would be keto, intermittent fasting, and there is something called the paleo diet, and then there is something that's very popular, which is a high protein and a very low carb diet. So these are the few popular diet which I have seen, which is trending these days. Speaking of which, if you look into the basic pattern of all these diet trends, honestly, it all follows a very similar pattern. It restricts certain kind of food groups or a specific food. You lose weight because you are restricting a lot of calories by not eating a certain food group. But there's a yo-yo pattern. You lose weight and then you gain weight the time that you stop having these kind of diets. So which is why it's not quite so healthy, because you might get into different complications later after that. So if you're someone who wants to be healthy, who wants to lose weight in a healthy way, it's better to follow a trend or a diet that encourages you to eat healthy, follow a balanced food group, be more physically active, so which is more consistent. Anytime you want to be healthy, don't think of doing something special, something different, something expensive. It has to be in line with what you can do, something accessible, something which is straightforward, which is not complex. So I would suggest that it is basically what you have in your household. You have to do very simple things, and it has to be more in line with what your family is eating. You don't have to do anything special.
So that's a very good advice, Amira. So you're saying do something collective which benefits the family too, rather than only as an individual living in a collective setting.
Yes, because then, what happens is you will lack the discipline there, because your family will be doing a different thing. You will be doing a different thing. You will be restricted from having a lot of things. See, as humans, what happens is when someone is asking you not to eat something, it's kind of a negative feeling, right? It's a punishment. No one likes to be punished. So always you have to find a balance between what you eat, how much you can eat, and the concept of portion control. That's what you have to practice, or not anything else. Not by restricting yourself from eating an ice cream or a chocolate. It can be part of a healthy lifestyle too, as long as you know your portions.
Why do you think these diets have become popular?
Well, hundreds of years ago, what happened was like food was less accessible and people were more physically active. But these days, in the current world, we live under convenience, right? So, which has in fact solved a lot of problems, and together with that, it has introduced new ones too, like obesity and lifestyle diseases. So, which is why these diet trends have gained a lot of popularity. They are focusing and targeting on people who are obese and who wants to lose weight. And if you look into all the diet trends, they more or less have the same pattern. They restrict a food group, people lose weight, people gain weight, and it's like a yo-yo dieting phase. So I would personally not recommend anyone to follow a diet trend unless and until it follows a balanced system, balanced food groups, and all of that. Because if you're someone who's really wanting to lose weight and want to be healthy for your rest of your life, what you can do is you have to encourage yourself to eat healthy, follow a balanced diet with the right portion of carbs, proteins, healthy fats, vitamins, minerals, because that stays with you forever and it's amazing. The results are really good and you can be consistent. And together with that, adopt a lifestyle where it encourages you to be more physically active, because the time that you do all these changes, it is something that is going to go with you forever. It becomes a part of your lifestyle. So that's what I really encourage. So you have to look into a bigger concept, which is a lifestyle change, not just a random weight reduction. Interestingly, it's showing some good results, yeah, but we have not seen what happens after. So there are influencers, and also there are the social media platforms who is kind of influencing the population and showing weight loss, but we don't know what is happening after, because we are not tracing them, right? And which is why everyone is following it, because people see that someone is losing weight and they're going to ask how are you losing weight by doing a high protein diet, so let me do the same. So the people buy what others say, and social media is also a kind of a platform which influences especially the community out here to get into all these kind of diet trends without knowing the side effects. So basically, I think this is what is happening, and we don't know what is happening afterwards unless and until we have the whole story there.
So, not to get into specifics, but on a general level, for the general population, what would you say is an ideal diet?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. See, an ideal diet would be a healthy eating plate. Okay, so healthy eating plate is something that actually guides you to eat a balanced and healthy meal, whether it's served at the table or it's packed lunch or packed breakfast or packed dinner, whatever it is. So in this plate, what you have to consider is to have a 9-inch plate. All right, a 9-inch plate. Usually we have more of like 12-inch, 13-inch plate. So try to have a medium size 9-inch plate, and you divide the plate into 3 sections. Okay, so half of your plate, try to include fruits and vegetables like green leafy vegetables, yellow orange fruits, and yellow orange fruit. So it's more of antioxidants, it's anti-inflammatory, so it have a lot of potential health benefits. And for the quarter portion, choose whole grains like quinoa, like oats, like brown rice, whole grain cereals, and all of that. And limit your intake of refined cereals and anything that's made with white flour and all of that, because it increases your insulin resistance, and it's not so good to have plenty of refined carbohydrates, basically. And the other quarter, what you can do is you can consider having lean protein, like, lean meat. You can have your fish, you can have your chicken, you can have your eggs. And if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you can choose your protein from pulses, lentils, legumes, sprouts, tofu, and all of that, which is also a good choice. But always consider having a less portion or limit your intake of red meats and processed meat, which is very important to control your cholesterol and triglycerides and all of that. And you can choose low fat dairy products too. This can be a part of a healthy lifestyle. Together with that, consider taking oil. It has to be in moderation. With all these strategies in place, one thing which is very important is you have to be physically active. And the very good thing about this plate method is it focuses on diet quality. Okay, so it is something that can be followed by everyone, like whether it's an Asian or a European or Far Eastern, it can be followed by everyone. So it's not just specific to a group. So depending on where you come from, what you have to do the same healthy eating plate, which is 3 sections into vegetables, fruits, carbs, and your protein, and your dairy intake.
What about craving, Amira? Sometimes we have cravings, and as
Yes,
Indian families in the Indian culture, there's a lot of functions, a lot of parties, a lot of
yes,
lovely
I
food, a
totally
lot of
agree.
dessert.
Yes.
How do you manage that one?
Say cravings can be emotional cravings, not actually a physical cravings, because it's just that it's just a party, like you said. Maybe you have been you see something and you wanted to eat. It could be just a social gathering, something like that. It's normal. As humans, you will have cravings. It's not that you have to stop that, but you need to control the portions, and also it's just a balance. So you have a craving today, you feel that you did something differently. Maybe the next meal, maybe you can just balance it out by have reducing your calories, or just trying out a different physical activity or something like that, because you cannot restrict yourself so much, because if you restrict yourself so much, I have seen that from my experience, that you try to binge. Okay, so you can have your cravings, but try to control it and don't let it happen more frequently. So that's the advice I have to.
So, a person who wants to lose weight and lacks the motivation, what is the first approach?
Well, as a standard rule of thumb, what you have to do is, if you are someone who wants to change your diet, or if you want to make some radical changes in your food choices or food pattern, it's always better to speak to a healthcare provider like a dietitian, a physician, before making any changes on your own, because they are the expert and they can guide you based on your clinical profile. A dietitian can do your nutrition analysis and assessment, and they can figure out and what is the best treatment for you, and a dietitian can help you to design a balanced eating pattern, and there will be a regular monitoring to see your progress, and there will be constant follow-ups, and all of that, and also it is more into giving motivation and all of that. So it's better to talk to a healthcare provider before making any drastic decisions.
Your thoughts on food supplements?
All right. Food supplements has gained a lot of popularity again these days,
Hmm.
because food supplements comes in the form of vitamins, minerals, or some form of fatty acids and all of that. But remember, food supplements meaning it's an add-on. It's not a replacement for real food. So food is the primary source of fuel for our body. It contains all the essential nutrients that you need. But if you're someone who feels that your nutrition has been compromised, what you can do is you can try food supplements. But again, it's better to talk to a physician or your healthcare provider before taking any supplements or food replacements, because they will know your clinical condition better. And you should never have these supplements as a over-the-counter drugs. So always talk to your healthcare provider before attempting to take any supplements.
What are the best practices for a person with diabetes?
So this best dietary approach for someone who has insulin resistance or who has diabetes and all of that is to follow a carb control diet. Again, it's not a restrictive diet. A carb control diet is basically a healthy eating plate which focus on having more of vegetables, control portion of carbohydrates, protein, and dairy products and fruits in moderation. So anytime you wanted to have a food or something like that, please don't follow a restricted diet or elimination diet, because it's all about controlling your carbs rather than restricting it or eliminating it. And also, as a good practice, what you can do is to control, have a good glycemic control. You can have small frequent meals, have some snacks in between, hydrate yourself properly, and healthy sleeping habits is also important. Manage your stress, monitor your blood sugar levels, because you will have an idea on what's happening with you, and also take your regular medications as prescribed by your physician, because some patients have seen that they stop taking medications on their own. So please don't do that. So it's actually how do I say it, it's more of a good approach, wherein it consists of diet, exercise, plus stress management, sleeping habits, hydration. This all, everything has to go hand in hand. It's not just one single thing. Everything has to be there. And what you will find is you will find amazing results in your blood sugar levels. It will be well under control. Your HbA1c, which is an average of 3 months, it's going to be under control. So if you're someone who wants to control your blood sugar levels rather than going for restrictive diets or going behind one kind of food, which I've seen people going for just one specific food to control the blood sugar levels, it will not help. Believe me, it will not help. All you have to do is you have to control your carbs and follow a balanced and a healthy plate method. That will really help, and that is something you can do forever.
Can we lightly touch on intolerances, Amira?
Sure, we
Food
can.
intolerances.
Yes. See, food intolerance in general happens when you're unable to or find it very difficult to digest certain foods. Okay, and what happens is it might cause gastrointestinal disturbances when you eat certain kind of food. So the most common kind of food intolerance that I see is lactose, and then we have a gluten intolerance. I have also have seen fructose intolerance and all of that. And even kids, this very popular now, kids get into intolerance and all of that. And it is very easy to identify a kid who has intolerance because the first symptom will be a gastrointestinal stomach discomfort, abdominal pain. Kids might have bloating, distension, stomach cramps. So if your kid is experiencing something of this after having certain kind of food, you have to get the help of a healthcare provider, and thereafter they will prescribe some test. It could be a blood test, it could be some intolerance test and all, to find out what is the intolerance that's causing the issues. So, and later you can go and meet up with a dietitian to design a healthy eating pattern, and to figure out what is the best thing that's going to work for your kid or even for adults. Yeah.
What is a safe diet for intolerance?
So the best diet for intolerance is something like an elimination diet. So as a dietitian, we work in phase. Okay, we work in stages. So the first, so it's like 3 stages. The first stage is the elimination stage, wherein we eliminate all kind of food which can cause intolerance, and this elimination phase can go for a few weeks. So after the first stage, then the next stage is the challenge stage, wherein we introduce the foods that was eliminated in the first stage, okay? And we introduce one food at a time. So that one food will go for a week, and then you have to maintain a food diary. You have to note down the symptoms and all of that, how your body responds, okay? So later after that, if you see that there are certain kind of food which is causing some problems or some kind of discomfort, you have to stop doing that. And the third phase is the phase then you're going to plan a healthy, balanced eating habit and a eating pattern, wherein you will actually eliminate all the trigger foods, and you will put substitutes. You will introduce substitutes for the food that you have eliminated. So that is how you create a healthy, balanced plan that you can follow for a long time, and you will be away from the symptoms.